Back in glorious Nippon, another company was taking its first dip in the Vocaloid pool, known as Internet Company, with the creation of the first Vocaloid to have a pop music star as its voice provider. On July 31st, 2008, Gakupo was released with the voice provider, the pop artist known as Gakt, who named the Vocaloid himself. Gakupo is more commonly known by his avatar character, Kamui Gakupo. Though recording was done quickly, it took several months before the developers were able to tweak the software into something they were happy with. But even though they were able to meet the original deadline, the product would not be released for more than a month. Why the wait? Gakupo is obviously modeled after Gakt himself, but Internet Co. wanted to follow the tradition set by the Krypton Future Media Vocaloids and have an illustrated character on the box rather than a human model. So after a little bit of searching, they found an artist who was such a fan of Niku Niku Doga and the music culture that he offered to draw an illustration of Gakupo for the box for free. His name was Kentaro Miura, and if that name doesn't ring a bell, he's the artist behind Berserk. Gakupo's character design is a fair departure from the Krypton Vocaloids. He is styled after a samurai wearing what you might call a war kimono, which acts as a surcoat to his pieces of traditional armor. His sword is said to create music when swung. His bright purple color was chosen as a way to make him distinct from the rest of the Vocaloids. As far as marketing for Gakupo, because of the success of Miku and Rin Len, the pop music scene was now familiar with Vocaloids. Add to that Gakt's already established popularity in pop music and pop culture, and you'd think Gakupo would be a surefire hit. In 2009, Gakt himself was involved in an interesting marketing ploy by having a contest for Vocaloid users to make the best song possible with Gakupo. The winner would receive 10 million yen and possibly have Gakt himself sing the song on one of his albums. Gakt did add that winning song on his album, and even sang the song created by the runner-up, who also took home $30,000. The rest of the top 10 submissions got $10,000 each.
何 しむをさ何この時代に戦を巻き起こせピパ侍張りするやつがいて見当てる通りでるやつがいる俺はどちらにもそんなやつにただなりを続けてる
As for his performance, Gakupo was very good when he was released. He was designed to give a high-quality, professional singing voice. Because his provider is a popular singer, he has a very broad range and was the highest quality male voice bank to be released at that time. He could maintain strong, low notes far better than Kaito or Len and produced a much more realistic sounding male voice. But despite the overall high quality of Gakupo, he is one of the more difficult Vocaloids to use. This limited his use to professionals, so he is not used as commonly as other Vocaloids. And the fact that he is essentially gawked in Vocaloid form turns away people who aren't gawked fans. He was also the most expensive Vocaloid available when he was released, beating out Prima. Shortly after the Kagamine set was released, Krypton Future Media released a few details about the upcoming third entry in their character vocal series, CV03. Intended to be the final entry in the CV series, her name was released only a month before the product went on sale. On January 30th, 2009, my personal favorite Vocaloid was released, Megurine Luka, which, with a very loose translation, means sound that goes around the world. With the advertisements and promotions that preceded Luka, people had little idea what would come to make her special. She was advertised as just another female Japanese Vocaloid by Krypton. But Luka would set many firsts in the Vocaloid franchise. Luka was designed with the concept that Vocaloids should not be limited to one region or one language. Music is the universal language after all, and so Vocaloid should be as accessible to as many musicians and as many listeners as possible. In November 2008, Krypton revealed that Megurine Luka would have a second voice bank, in addition to her Japanese voice bank. The second voice bank was in English, making Luka the first Vocaloid to support multiple languages. She was intended to cross cultural boundaries and to give Japanese artists a way to experiment with using English in their songs without having to pay for separate English Vocaloids from foreign markets. Luka's avatar character was also designed by Kei, but Luka does not sport a school uniform the way Miku or Rin do. Luka is different from them in that she is intended to be an older, more mature vocalist with an applied age of around 20, as opposed to the teenaged Miku and Rin. Additionally, her outfit was designed to be asymmetrical because of her dual language nature, so that she would look different depending on your viewing angle. While Rin and Len became popular after their Act 2 updates, Luka was the first Vocaloid to impact Miku's popularity upon release. Vocaloid users took to Luka immediately, not just because of Luka's additional voice bank, but because her voice is entirely different from the earlier CVs. Their voices were best suited to pop music, dance, techno, and the like, with very young teenage girl vocals, and they were very good at it. But Luka was different. Luka's voice, provided by one Miss Asakawa Yu, whom I would probably kowtow to if I ever met her, is much deeper, raspier, and more mature than Miku's or Rin's. She made it possible for musicians to experiment with jazz, blues, lounge, trance, and other music styles with softer tones. That's not to say Luka is limited to those styles. Her software was the most finely tuned released at the time, making her a powerful force. Within 3 days of Luka's release, songs featuring her were knocking some Hatsune Miku songs off of Niku Niku Dogo's top 30 list, and her song Rip Equal Release received more positive votes in 1 week than any other song on the site, Vocaloid produced or otherwise.
完璧な生き方なんてできないから完璧な生き方なんてしたくないから不器用な僕は不器用なままで神様この歌が聞こえるかいあなたが望んでいなくても僕は笑っていたいんです泣きたい時は泣きたいんです静かにして歌いたいんです誰もが見事もこれぬ今をきっといつか後悔するから今はまだこんな気持ちで気ままに歩いていたっていいよね
ママのことが楽しかったこのままでいたかったただママのことを続けてたな止まり方を忘れていた周りの仲間たちが自分のみんなで回れるのはたまに時のことつぶやいて諦めたふりをしていた半径250センチはこの手の届く距離今から動き回りますので離れていてください
時を止める魔法忘れるくらいの幸せな時は過ぎてゆく
十字架に流れ空を大事に大事に大事に祈りの声なばかりでさえ大事にこの愛さえも十字架呼ぶのなら大事に大事に大事に憎しみなものを離さないな浮かんだ昨日の朝早くに割れたグラスかき集めるようなこれは一体何だろう切った指が立ち止まる気づく僕らはこんなことしたかったのかなわかってたよ心の奥底ではもっとも辛い選択がベストそれを拒むつもりと結果しか到着僕にがし僕はいつになれば言えるのかな緩やかに朽ちてくこの世界で赤く僕の唯一の活路色あせた君の微笑み刻んで線を抜いた声を悲して叫んだ反響残響虚しく響く外された鎖のその先は何一つ残ってやしないけど二人を重ねてた偶然完全断線儚くじじに所詮こんなものさつぶやいた枯れた頬に伝う誰かの涙雨が降ると不安で泣いてしまう私に大丈夫とささやいたあなたも泣いていたの抱き寄せてほしい確かめてほしい間違いなどないんだと思わせてキスをして塗り替えてほしい二幕の時に用意しよう離れたい引き寄せてマグネットのようにたとえいつか離れても巡り合う船でいて戻れなくていいそれでいいの誰よりも大切なあなた
But as amazing as she is, Luka is not perfect. Oh, it hurts to say that. She has a very smooth voice that works amazingly well when applied to her best genres, but she is not as versatile as the other Vocaloids due to her deeper voice, and in the softer voice ranges her pronunciation can become difficult to manage. And while she is the first bilingual Vocaloid, there is a reason why Krypton did not offer any technical support for her English voice bank, and why Luka was not marketed outside of Japan. The technical reason involved the lack of an English user interface for her software, but the biggest reason was that her English voice bank was not great in terms of creating fluent English sounds. Ms. Asakawa admitted in an interview that the recording procedure for the English voice bank was much more difficult for her to do, but part of it was also because, well, it's a Japanese singer trying to create an English voice bank, and then Japanese musicians trying to use English words in song lyrics, so the pronunciation is far from perfect. But it was not all bad news. The English voice bank offered Japanese artists who were willing to work with it an amazing new tool in producing sounds for languages other than Japanese and English, such as saying a particular word in French or even Chinese. Some musicians also found that some of the shortcomings of Luka's English voice bank could be overcome by substituting certain syllables from the Japanese voice bank. While Luka does not excel at English-only songs, she can maintain the same tone, pitch, and strength when switching voice banks with a little tweaking, allowing her to go from the Japanese voice bank to the English voice bank and back without affecting the overall mood or tone of the song, something which was unique to Luka at the time. Luka was the final character vocal model released by Krypton Future Media, so she was the last Vocaloid with a number tattooed on her left arm. Even if the Vocaloid franchise had stopped there, it would have left a lasting mark on the music industry. But there was much, much more to come. Internet Co. released its second Vocaloid on June 25, 2009. Named Megpoid, it featured the voice talent of a professional singer and voice actress named Nakajima Megumi. Her nickname as a child was Gumi, which became the name of Megpoid's official mascot character. Gumi promised Vocaloid users a female voice bank which could produce powerful, realistic vocals, and she did not disappoint. Gumi and Gakupo both had professional singers as their voice providers, and they both provided high-quality vocals. Gumi had the best range of all the female Vocaloids released to that point, and very few weaknesses. Her voice can be somewhat raspy, but that effect can be removed with some tuning. She is more difficult to use than the Krypton Future Media Vocaloids, just as Gakupo was, because the Internet Co.'s target demographic was the professional market, whereas Miku, Rin, and Luka were not intended to sound extremely realistic. Despite the huge difference in marketing, with Gakupo receiving tons of marketing and Gumi receiving relatively little, Gumi became popular much more quickly than Gakupo, and her voice is considered to be one of the best and most realistic in the franchise.
あなたでした救えないことが吐き散らすこともあるだけどまだこの心はありがとう残ってる今日からあなたの風になる誰かを許せるように楽しい時間はきっとこの手から始まるからきっとあなたの風になる俺は気ままなのな猫さん闇の中目だけが光ってる自分口が上手だけど私はバカな女じゃないわ万世な一の君だからこそ変われるのよ不満の首輪の火事があなたにはわかるかしら私は濡れよ美味しい食品深くカレット水は上手に苦手だけど毎日シャワーなってあげるのそれに比べてあなたは 思っていたんだあの日から教室のドアくぐるとほんの少し胸を張って歩き出せるそんな日常に吹き抜ける風聞こえた気がした感じた気がしたんだ今この腕でもう来る気がした幾億の星が